With Overwatch 2 only a couple of hours away, I thought it was very appropriate to make a video talking about the things I will not be missing in Overwatch 1. A lot of players are out there right now making videos talking about their impressions of the Battle Pass, their excitement about playing a 5v5 format, the fact the game's getting new heroes. I figured I might as well make a video talking about the things I will not be missing in Overwatch 2. First things first, content drought's going away. We're getting content again. Hooray, we get heroes, we get maps, Midtown slaps. Holy crap, that theme slaps. Monte Carlo is gorgeous. Paradiso, I believe it's pronounced, Rio, is amazing. If you look out the attacker spawn door to your right, that is gorgeous. They did such an incredible job on the design of that map from that angle. You're not even looking in that direction. The whole second part of the map, you're not looking that way at all. But it's just so pretty. They did such a good job on that map. But the fact we're getting content again, the game's alive again. There's a pledge to keep making content. It's amazing. We're back. The game can come back. It was Game of the Year in, 2016? It can come back finally. Now, of course, I also want to briefly talk about the hard counters concept, which is going to be going away for the most part. I mean, Pharah is always going to be hard countered by hit scam, and playing projectile heroes into Pharah is usually not a good idea, especially when the Pharah knows what they're doing. Soldier's ult combo with Kiriko, he will be deleting Echo and Pharah out of the sky. They took out all the stuns, they took out all the counters, they took out all these other mechanics that just didn't feel good. And they made every character in the game, to some extent, usable in metas. So now, when a player locks Junkrat, they are throwing. But when a player locks Symmetra, they aren't necessarily throwing. The idea that finally we can approach an area where heroes have different purposes, but they can all be used, that is peak balancing. And the fact that they're trying to aim for better balancing is a great feature as well. And of course, I also didn't, this one should have been number 6, or I guess it could have been 5. The fact that they are taking such an aggressive stance on negativity, uplifting people in the community who are good voices in good sports. I'm guilty of being a bad sport from here and there. I mean, when I get team wiped and our team just gets clapped, I sometimes say like, unlucky in chat. I mean, I don't know if they'll call that toxic, but definitely does get people upset when you say unlucky and they're like, well, how so? The fact that they're going to keep a closer eye on negativity does encourage better behavior. And the fact that so much, I mean, it also partially stemmed from the fact that you could just keep making accounts in Overwatch and, I mean, you had to buy an account, you had to pay them money for your consequence of getting your account banned for being toxic, but there wasn't deterrence, and there finally is now. You get one account, it's on one phone number, and you have to behave on that account. You don't have a right to be on the platform, you have a privilege, and they can revoke that whenever they want. With these things, there's going to be content flowing, there's going to be a much better balanced state in the game, ignoring the fact that Kiriko is going to, by design, be insane, and they're going to be watching and stopping the hacking and the swearing and the cursing and the sexism and all that stuff. They're going to finally be dealing with all that, and that's just great to hear. Now we're going to actually go into my top 5 things I'm not going to miss. This is just my opinion. I'm sure other people may have different opinions on these, but this is my opinion on this. I've been playing, I am a plat border, I've been in the game for a lot of hours, I'm like level 2100, I have a lot of experience with this, so I can definitely talk to this. First things first, starting off number 5, the narrowness of the support role. This is mostly just because we only had 8 heroes. Remember at launch, we only had Mercy, Zen, and Lucio. I didn't even know, when I started playing the game, we had Ana. I didn't even know Ana was a DLC, quote, released hero. I thought that Ana was from the original cast. When they started working on the support category more, they split it off into 2 sections, utility healers and primary healers. Well, that's my nicknames for them. Primary healers are just like, they're Ana, your Moira, your BAP. Their sole objective is to pump healing into your team. You're playing BAP to help a bunker team. You're playing, or I'll say bunker, like a ground grouped together, decent, team. You're playing Ana when your team starts to split apart a bit. Ana's got her sleep dart for flankers, and Ana's designed for pounding out healing. And of course, Moira's just Moira. She just floods you with healing. Utility-based heroes like Zen, Zen's Discord Orb and his ult, I consider utility ults because their objective isn't specifically to pound healing out. Zen's ult is to deny other ults. Zen's Discord is to help focus down targets. Lucio's speed is to help tanks get around faster. Kiriko's cleanse is to try to weaken some of the powerful abilities in the game, like Anti. Kiriko's Swift Step is a utility that lets you chase your teammates down or get out of a bad fight. And now they're starting to give them DPS abilities. So like Baptiste behind a window can DPS, but usually when you're playing Baptiste, you're playing him to heal and you're playing with a Zen or with a Lucio or with a Brig. The fact that we're now getting heroes like Kiriko. Kiriko's healing, I believe I saw, was 130 per clip. So when you hold left click and shoot your, I can't remember what they're called, their little vouchers, the card things, you only heal 130 health. And it takes a while to flood out the healing and get somebody back up. The part of her kit that makes her so good is the fact that she's got a 3 times critical hit multiplier on her knives. The fact that she can teleport around. She's going to be hard to kill. She has a cleanse / invulnerability. She can deny an ult. Good players are going to learn how to time it better, and good Kirikos are going to have to fight against this. It's going to be like the Reinhardt mutual fight, where the Reinhardts are looking to shatter each other. There's going to be a lot of interactions where Kiriko now is looking for damage. Kiriko is looking to enable her team damage. We're looking at new types of utility, and I have a feeling the next few support heroes are going to have different types of utility. Perhaps we have one that actually has a ghost concept, where like Sombra's invisibility is briefly passed on to the team. You know, there's so many different avenues they could take now that they're not just defining support as healing support. So number 4 is Comp 1.0. I really don't want to spend a lot of time on this because, again, I am a diamond player. I've peaked diamond. I'm a high plat. Some of my roles, I got my DPS is gold, but I am very underranked in gold. My aim has definitely gotten better, and I should probably be all 3 across the board, plat or high plat. But competitive 1.0 is plagued with problems. Some of them are just levers. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes life happens. I get it. But at the same time, when a player leaves the game, you've doomed your team, because I think I've only won 1 competitive match in my entire life down a player against like the 20 or 30 I've attempted. Like, it is a severe disadvantage. You've got Smurfs flooding the game, pushing players down below their normal ranks. You've got account boosting. The SR system does not take into account individual performance as much as it does, or it should do. But I also want to briefly discuss the fact that they have addressed all these changes in Overwatch 2. They're not resetting the SR. They are adjusting it. They are allowing higher flexibility for your first placements. That is what I was saying a few months ago in people's YouTube chat. Samito's video, I put that comment in there. I probably put it in a few others. We don't need a reset. The game is fundamentally different now. There isn't 2 tanks to sink damage into and deny mitigate damage. DPS are going to find that their role is so much more powerful because there's less shields in the game, and the shields break faster. You have to use the cover of the maps. You have to play smarter, and because of this, the competitive is going to be very different. I'm actually looking forward to a little bit of it. I can't wait to see how it feels. It's going to be a very different game when you can see your team's output. You can find the missing, the weakest link. This player's not performing well on Junkrat. Ask him to go Cass. Ask him to go Ashe. Ask him to go Genji. Oh, I don't play Genji. Okay, how about Tracer? Oh, I can play Tracer pretty well. Swaps to Tracer. They win. You don't just flame people like, oh, I have the gold damage. What are you doing? They've designed competitive 2.0 to be better, and I'm very interested to see how it comes out better. Okay, this is the one everyone would have thought would be number 1, but I decided it wasn't the least popular thing in my opinion about this game. 2CP. 2CP / Assault is, in my opinion, not a good game mode for Overwatch because you need to understand that Overwatch is a game about team fights. The reason why professional 2CP matches go to 7-8 or 10-9 is because you are asking 2 teams of players who are almost all ridiculously close to each other in terms of skill. You are asking 2 teams, you're asking one team to fully defend a point in attacking defense, but depending on the comp you run, you're asking a team to push onto another team and win a team fight. That's 1 point. Then win the next team fight. That's 2 point. It snowballs. It very often snowballs. They sped up respawn after the first point, but people professional players are already on the second point by the time the first point's capped. You've got a player or 2 already pushing up. Paris is in my opinion, the prettiest map they've done from Overwatch 1. It is so pretty. Everything is done so well on that map, and it kills me that we're losing Paris and Temple of Anubis and Hanamura and the other Volskaya and Horizon. We're losing these maps. They're gone. They're disappearing from the rotation because the game mode's gone. The devs have said that they have considered trying to bring it those maps somehow into another game mode, but that's just too specific. The maps are not that big, so for Overwatch, it's just not going to work. It's a snowball game mode. I've had matches where I've had a game go, I've rammed with my team and we've snowballed a match in like 1 and 2 minutes. I've been snowballed. My DPS queues when I'm not using a pass is like 5 to 7 minutes. It doesn't feel good to play a game that lasts half of your queue time because you spend all your time waiting in the queue to just get snowballed. So it is good that the game mode's going away. Now that the game plays so much differently, it would not work. I would be totally open to the idea of trying to play 2CP in like private lobbies. So like if they didn't axe the game mode, if they left the maps in like the private lobbies for the private games, I'd play it every now and then, but yeah, I don't know if it belongs it does not belong in competitive, and I don't know if it really belongs in quick play either. It doesn't work. It's a hard to explain game mode. It just does not work. My 1 and 2 picks were almost interchangeable because they're all hero related. We're going to start with number 2, obviously, and that is some of the old hero kits, the 1.0 versions of some of the old heroes, specifically, in my opinion, Doomfist, Orisa, and Bastion. When Bastion is played correctly, behind a wall, he ruins games. And I know that people are like, oh, if you were a good player, you would just deal with it. You need a little bit of coordination, and that's not something that you always get in quick play or any kind of arcade match. Bastion just sits behind a shield, properly supported with a BAP. That's a GG, man. That's you got to dive that man, and you got to get him down perfectly. And in lower ranks of competitive, it's not fun, and it's cancerous. Some of the worst matches I've ever played in my life are on Horizon Lunar Colony, the first point, Bastion sitting on the top choke, Sigma Orisa shield in front of him. Or Ryan Orisa. It's just no bueno. And of course, Orisa 1.0, kit was boring. I'm sorry, kit was boring. That's all I gotta say. New Orisa is so much fun. I played her in the second beta and the first beta. She is so much fun. And Doomfist as well. I'm going to try and be as kind as possible about Doomfist, but Doomfist is not a hero that's skillful. Doomfist's playstyle is about the game sense of knowing the rollouts, knowing where on the map you can float your abilities and hover, and then eventually making your way in some way, shape, or form down to jump on a player and just quick combo people. Good Doomfist players are usually also good at other heroes. They're Doomfist main, but they've just chosen to ruin other people's days. And the fact that they've now reworked these 3 characters, Doomfist is a tank, they've axed him to death, but he needs to get something back to his kit. They've axed him so hard for launch, but the fact that Doomfist is actually going to be out of the DPS category and out of the bullcrap section of the category, I'm celebrating. I'm so glad they've reworked these 3 characters. They are the most irritating characters possible. I'm still partially on board for the idea of making Symmetra into a support character, even just giving her possibly some kind of healing ability on top of her kit and then just calling her a support. Her character is kind of designed for, well, I mean, the damage is pretty high. She does a lot of damage, but her kit is just kind of designed for defensive play, and it doesn't really almost feel like a DPS anymore. It works in cheese strats, and I would even wager to say I'd even consider Symmetra in this list of characters I'd love to see reworked as well. It just doesn't feel good. And of course, the number one thing that I'm going to not miss is the tank player, the second tank player, and specifically Double Shield. The best way to describe it is your tanks had the highest impact in any match in Overwatch 1, because your 2 tanks control the tempo of the match. Your support are usually picked in association with your 2 tanks to suit the playstyle, and then your DPS are just like, just pick something, I don't know. Heavily depends on what you're doing, if you wanted to run pharmacy or whatever. It really depends on how you plan to run the match, but Ryan Zarya, Ryan Orisa, Sig Orisa, Orisa, Roadhog, bye-bye. Just bye-bye, get out of here, get lost. Don't care. The synergy is fun, but it's not fun to play against, and it just doesn't really work. A lot of players came to the game, they would get on DPS, and then they would pop around a corner, pull out their Widowmaker scope, and there is a Sigma shield and an Orisa shield facing them down, and then they get headshot by a Hanzo. I mean, like, it's just hiding behind shields. A lot of Overwatch was just hiding behind shields, and the game never felt great when they added Orisa and Sigma, and just kept expanding on shield tanks. Players whine so much about all these problems of the game, and Blizzard responded by just adding tons of shields to the game, and it didn't work out. It definitely resulted in some of the stalest and most boring comps possible. It definitely made for some fun quick play lobbies, but it doesn't feel good. I've been in both betas, and I have to say the first beta of Overwatch 2 that I participated in back in, I believe it was May. I want to say it was late May. No, it was April. It was April. I remember now. It was close to my birthday. The first game I played of Overwatch 2, I think I was testing Orisa on tank. That was just a pleasure. It was such a pleasure. The game was fun. The tank feels like a mini, raid boss. Everyone just feels like they have a point. The DPS are actually looking to get a pick. The supports can fight more now. They don't just have to flood a second tank with healing because they're always on critical. You're one tank. The synergies and the playstyle it just feels good. Not to mention, I think I was on Rome on my first map. Rome is also a gorgeous map, I must say. It's so pretty to just fly around and look at. It's so cool. But yeah, that's my 5. To be fair, a lot of people are going to have 2 CP in the first slot, and the second tank player, the 2 tanks probably later in the list, depending on who you ask. Yeah, that's my pick list. Everybody was making videos talking about what they were loving about the game and how excited they are, and I figured I'd talk about what I'm glad to leave behind. So, let me know down in the comments below, did I hit the bullet points? Did I miss some? Am I over exaggerating? Let me know down below. Thank you guys as always, and I will see y'all later.